I want you to take a look again. Myles Garrett grabs a helmet, sees Mason Rudolph, and then he hits him over the head. It's an ugly sight, and there's no place in the game for Myles Garrett would apologize afterwards somewhat and say that he just lost his cool. Mason Rudolph said he's okay, but even in all that, with the ugliness at the end of the game, the Browns win this one 21-7. And many in the NFL community weighing in, of course, like we all were. And Pat Mahomes, bro, I can't even believe that just happened. And, yeah, I think we all had the same sentiment.
Bro, you were saying something about watching that go down in those final seconds and from Rudolph's perspective of some unwritten rules. Yeah, just because I've seen that happen before. I've seen guys get their helmet grabbed, snatched, and, of course, they wind it back like always. And then in practice, whoa, 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 we're not going there. Seen guys swing and miss with the helmet. Just to break it down, and like I said, I'm not taking a side here. I'm telling you that Myles Garrett is wrong in this situation, but being the player, I want you guys to understand what was going through their minds. Okay, he takes down Mason Rudolph at the end of the game. I'm pretty sure Mason is thinking, the game's pretty much over. Why are you taking me all the way to the ground, maybe driving me into the ground? Myles Garrett could be thinking, I didn't even know you got rid of the ball. I thought I was getting a sack. At that point, there's some pushing and shoving. Mason reaches for his helmet. The first thing you do in a knee-jerk reaction when you're over-emotional and you kind of black out is you reach for the other guy's helmet. And he snatched off his helmet. And this is where I would love to talk to Mason and any other player in the league. I don't care if you're Larry Fitzgerald and been in 20 years or you're a rookie that just got in. If your helmet comes off at practice or in a preseason game, regular, I don't care where it comes off. Walk away, back up, start to figure out where you are because guys are running from behind you, and definitely don't go towards the guy that grabbed your helmet. And I'm not saying it's Mason's fault. Yeah. Let's be very clear. But if you're coming up off the ground and you see the guy that you just got in a tussle with your helmet cocked back, don't run towards him and grab him. You're almost asking for yourself to get hit. Let me reiterate, I'm not blaming Mason Rudolph. I just want these guys to find themselves in a situation and know how to get out of that situation because it could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse, but it could have ended so much earlier if Myles Garrett could have just dropped the helmet or Mason could have backed up and somebody grabbed it and looked him in his eyes and like, Myles, what are you doing? You're tripping. Let's go to the locker room and head home. So many layers of this. We'll be unpacking them all show long, but we do want to get you set for some awesome action on Sunday as well. Let's kick it off with a Mad Minute and start with the Saints. They're coming off an ugly Week 10 loss to the 2-7 Atlanta Falcons, the now 2-7 Atlanta Falcons. They're going to look to get back on track against the Buccaneers this week in Tampa Bay. So first, with more on the Saints, here's Tiffany Blackman.
Kay, I spoke with Cam Jordan following the Saints practice on Thursday, and we talked about that loss to the Falcons. And while this team was winning, Jordan told me they were able to sit back and look at the tape and say, yeah, we got to clean that up. But now, following that loss, he said they've got to pay attention to the minor details and be the most desperate team when they step on the field each week. And his teammate, quarterback Drew Brees, he laid out how this team plans to get back on track.
You got to have guys that take it upon themselves to understand that, when you do have a bad day, right, that you find a way to turn that into something positive. You find a way to create even more of a sense of urgency that allows you to come back and, play much better the next time out. So that's our mindset.
Kay, we're going to be keeping an eye on corner Marshawn Lattimore. He left that game against the Falcons on Sunday with a hamstring injury, and on Thursday he missed his second straight practice. The Saints would love to have his services this week against the Bucs when they face the best wide receiver duo in the league in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
I can't wait to see these three receivers, Godwin and Evans. You're right, Tiffany, and Michael Thomas. Oh, my, all of the offense. But right now it's time for another edition of Mad Minute, starting with the Saints taking on those Bucs in Tampa. Shriggs, what's going to determine the outcome?
How angry is Drew Brees right now, right? And how he has another level. People know him as the smiley, wonderful sportsman, and obviously the Walter Payton Man of the Year. Drew Brees has an anger, and I think Drew Brees' anger is going to filter through that Saints team. They will not be caught off guard by this Tampa team, and yet Tampa's feisty. Like, they win these games.
They're in close games.
That's what they do. Like, they take teams to the wire. Like, I could easily see the Buccaneers defending their home turf and saying, you know what, Jameis, here's our best game yet. I love this game, and I think it's an angry Saints team and a Buccaneers team that thinks they can beat that Saints team.
You got an angry Saints team and a motivated Bucs team. You said, how angry is Drew Brees? I think this game is going to come down to how efficient Jameis Winston plays.
Okay.
This dude is throwing 300 yards in a game like it's nothing, but he also throws interceptions. He also fumbles the rock. If Jameis Winston can take care of the ball, It wouldn't shock me if the Bucs win this game.
I've spent the last month saying the Saints are the best team in the NFL. I've spent the last week saying this loss was no big deal and they'll bounce back from it. If they lose this one, I may have to take off Monday like Peter did after
The last 6-time Breeze went without a touchdown pass.
Avoid the
Followed
smoke.
it up with a win, completing 77% of his passes, throwing for 15 touchdowns and just 2 interceptions.
Sounds good.
In those games. Hey, guess what? You're going to get as much of this next minute as you want.
Oh, good,
You
right.
got shorted on that
Right.
last one. So let's stay in the NFC South. Falcons, Panthers in Charlotte. What are you looking for?
I'm looking at the Panthers, and I'm looking at the NFC playoffs, and I would say, do you care to join us? Like, are you in or are you out? They're one of these middle teams, like, we're open for business if you would like to join us. I feel like they can't make up their mind if they're going to be joining the NFC playoffs or not. And if you get into it, last year, the 2018 Panthers, the defense was amazing. They were really good, and they fell off right around this time of year. This year, guess what's happening? They're falling off right around this. We're all paying attention to Kyle Allen. The defense is not great. They got to have it.
And I hear you on the Panthers. It's almost like we invited them to the adult table, and they came over, and we're all ordering steaks and lobster.
Yeah.
And the Panthers like, hey, waiter, you got a kids menu?
Yeah, you need chicken
I
fingers?
think I want to try the chicken fingers, the dinosaur nuggets. Are you the big boys or are you not?
I don't know.
They were a 2-yard run away from winning in Lambeau yesterday.
Get it in then.
The Panthers defense fell off a cliff. Cam Newton was out the last 8 games. Like, what do you want?
Have you seen Kyle
I
Allen?
don't know. I mean, like, to me, the Panthers are still good. They will beat the Falcons. Falcons had a nice win last week. This Panthers team is going to the playoffs. And Ron Rivera will have those boys ready to fight.
We like Ron. Ron will have him ready.
Falcons have won 3 straight over the Panthers, 5 of the last 6 going back to 2016. Jets visiting the Redskins. Biggest factor in this one, Burleson.
I don't know if there's a factor because both of these teams are struggling, but I would like to keep my eyes on Dwayne Haskins. It's been so up and down for him. Even in the small amount of sample size we've seen him play, he just didn't look like the guy. Now they're saying you're going to be the starter the rest of the season. Let's see if you can go out and just show us some glimpses of greatness. I'm not saying you have to be the best quarterback out of every quarterback playing in the weekend, but just show us some glimpses so the organization can say, that's our guy moving forward.
Rally around your coach, right? Like, and I'm talking about the Jets. They just said that this is going to be their head coach for next year, and they're going to get rid of all that stuff. Let's see how they respond. You go out there and you lose in Washington. The Jet fans are going to be outraged. How could you name him the head coach for next year? And we just lost to a 1-win Redskins team that's been playing ineptly the last few weeks.
The story we all need is the Jets playoff run this year. And like someone else said in Washington, D.C., it takes a village. It takes every little person. You can't get to the playoffs unless you beat the Redskins first. However, I do think that Christopher Johnson's saying that Adam Gase is coming back next year. If they lose to the Redskins, that is really, really bad. So I hope they get it.
Do you want some trivia?
Yeah. I mean, always.
Last Redskins win over the Jets came back in 2007. It was a 23-20 overtime win. 2007. Who were the starters at quarterback for each squad?
I'm going to say Jason Campbell for Washington.
Yes!
Chad Pennington for New York.
No, wrong on the second one. Not Chad Pennington. Friend of the show, Chad Pennington.
The Jets quarterback is
Sanchez.
Pre-Sanchez?
Pre-Sanchez?
Kellen Clemens.
Oh, yeah, Kellen Clemens.
Oregon legend.
Love Kellen Clemens, yes.
Last one in Mad Minute for now. Broncos and Vikings in Minnesota. Trags, take it away.
Yeah, this is one of those games where the Vikings are at home, and here are the Broncos with Brandon Allen at quarterback.
Where are you going with this take?
And this is one of those where
I don't like
everyone
your
just
tone.
puts it in pen. I saw Josh Allen walk into that building as a rookie last year, 17-point underdog, and beat the Vikings. I saw some inferior teams beat the Vikings in games that they should win. You can't let the foot off the pedal. Just because you beat Dallas, you can't lose this one. Vikings, go get this one.
You know what?
Peter just pulled a game from 16 months ago against Buffalo.
I watched
and Peter talked point spread. Peter.
Josh Allen leaped over Anthony Barr.
It was a great play. It was last week or no? No, a while ago.
17 years ago.
Mad Minute, let's go.
Dalvin Cook unleashed. You know, I took some heat yesterday for saying that Dalvin Cook is not in the top 3 running backs in the league. I might want to have that take back.
Yeah.
But either way, prove me wrong this weekend. You should run all over them.
You know, my eyes are on Kyle Rudolph because I feel like Kyle Rudolph is the best tight end in the game.
Well
I also
spoken
think
to.
he's a perfect person.
Love that man.
I think he's the most amazing human.
Beautiful family.
Why are you being so nice about...
Because Kyle Rudolph is coming on the show.
Well said by
I want to
you.
see him bounce back. He had an amazing catch in that last game, and he is one of the more consistent tight ends in the game.
You know the last time the Vikings beat the Broncos was your rookie season?
Wow.
2003 was the
about
last
that?
time that happened. Love these fun facts on a Mad Minute
You had
Friday.
kickoff coverage that game, Nate?
Yeah.
Were you serious?
I was.
Yes, I thought.
Kickoff and punt.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah,
All right.
special teams.
I mean, Nate's really looking ahead. I'm glad you didn't totally drag the Vikings because we do have one of our favorites on the show
Don't lose. No pressure.
who had one of the best catches of the season. That's not hyperbole, right? It was
No, you're right.
beautiful. 2-time Pro Bowl tight end for the Vikings, Kyle Rudolph, joining the show.
Carlson.